Are we ready to go second and third on this, or should we just go on second, Mark? This is
I have it.
the
Yeah, that's Vinny on there.
No. I'm sorry.
There was a correction.
So there was a
13.
correction.
Oh.
It should have been Jeff, and now Jeff isn't
Oh.
here, so now it's Jan.
Oh, so you want
I
me to
promise
take
you.
it?
He doesn't want to.
Okay. Because mine now says Ventura.
Second read? So we're gonna do
Right.
second read on that.
Just second?
Yep.
Okay. I just gotta remember to do it.
Put a star next to it, that's what
Just
I
not gonna
did.
be
Also,
good.
Vinny, can you do approval of minutes with me?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, number 13. This is the insurance starting April 1st. John or Mark, do you want to talk about this?
Go ahead.
So our current property and liability insurance provider, the municipal pool, they're going under, so to speak, as of April 1st. We've made some inquiries after we received this proposal, so it sounds like the pool had, knowing that they weren't gonna be able to provide coverage after April 1st, went out and shopped the market. They said they looked at all options available, and they came up with this proposal, the Ohio plan, which has been around, I think, since '88. A number of municipalities use them,
800.
800, and it has a public board, so it's staffed by public officials from other municipalities, political subdivisions. So this is what they're suggesting as the best alternative. Now, obviously, you have a little time, and I think there's some other details that we were just provided today,
Yeah,
I think. So maybe to give the finance director and the mayor a little bit of time to sift through that information, perhaps just leave this on first read.
All right, I'm going to take this one.
This is it's only a 1-year agreement, and so you're not binding yourself for anything long-term if you do decide to go down this route and can shop it again, obviously, down the road.
So you're taking this one?
Yes, ma'am.
And we still run our claims through our current Nixon
Change the name, 47.
agent, yeah.
Is there, how's the pricing look
A
compared to?
little bit less.
A little bit less.
Yeah.
And the coverage?
Pretty, that's what we needed, just
Yeah.
double check everything. They did give us a summary, nothing crazy.
Nothing really stood out like, whoa, it's the whole section's missing or
Right,
something?
no,
Okay.
just a few changes in deductibles, both ways though. Some went up, some went down.
Yeah, it seemed to be the weight was, coverage is increasing at about the same amount, so it looked like a net positive, but yeah.
Yeah, and the plan was to have it on first read anyways,
Okay,
so,
all right.
So it's circumforaneous.
whatever that means.
Sounds good. Thanks.
I didn't take Greek language.
All right, any questions on that?
If I.
All right, 14, this is the sidewalks. Mr. Rodick,
This would actually be,
Mr. Gelati, whoever wants to take it.
well, actually,
You
yeah.
want me to?
Who's the
Why don't you
sidewalk
start,
guy?
I'll chime in.
Okay.
All right, so the city has an ordinance in place in chapter, I think, 521 of the codified ordinances under general offenses, and that's been in place for decades. It's placed the obligation and onus to maintain sidewalks on the adjacent property owner. What this legislation in front of you does, it creates a new chapter of the revised code, chapter 903, specifically pertaining to sidewalks. It has a component where there's a permit process set up if anybody wants to make an alteration, reconstruction, or installation of a new sidewalk. And it also creates a sidewalk repair program that has specific parameters that sidewalks have to meet. And it'll be part of like an enforcement program where the building commissioner can go out, review the sidewalks, identify deficiencies, and have the homeowner correct them.
Yeah, and also within that, it identifies the ability to create a program. And I've spoken with the mayor about that, and we talked about doing a sidewalk repair program that would be a routine one. It would be a systematic program that would be done annually. So I just want to point out that this is, I don't have the real great visual aid. But what I did is I colored all the areas, or I highlighted all the areas that we have sidewalks in the city. And we started our marking essentially in the Beechwood Meadows area. We kind of worked our way up, and we had that great piece of weather, when we had like 4 or 5 days of warm, drier weather, we actually kind of drifted up into the upper areas here as well. But in this area, we actually marked about 350, not sidewalks, homes, properties. That ended up being about 85,000 square foot of walk. This year's program will be somewhere in Beechwood Meadows, but it's going to be limited by the budget. You know, walk, when I did this program 29 years ago, was $1.75 for a 4-inch walk, $2.10 for a 6-inch walk. Now it's around $16 for 4-inch walk and maybe 18 and a half for 6-inch walk. So there is an expense that goes along with all of this, but one of the things that the city should do moving forward with this is work through in a systematic way and set up zones, as some of the cities have done in the past, and they do it annually. And this could run over like a 10-year cycle and start all over again. But this really should not be a one and done type thing, because they said we're only going to be able to catch a portion of Beechwood Meadows, which hosts probably some of the most hazardous walks actually in the city. There's some bad ones down on Maple and Wren as well, but they end up being in cul-de-sacs. But like I said, I think between now and the next council meeting, I'll have a good handle on what properties we're going to notify. The mayor wanted communication to be very, a lot of communication with this. So, you know, we'll get notices out letting people know that that they're going to be part of the program. It's going to be a courtesy notice. It's not going to be you have to do this thing now. It's going to give them some parameters. And I plan on sending letters out between every 3 weeks or so to the property owners, just giving them an update. I've talked to Christy Young. We're actually going to try to get a link on our website that will take them to all of the standards and all the criteria that would be required for the sidewalk program and the things that they would need to look for. You know, fortunately, this ordinance actually sets forth some criteria. And the bulk of the criteria, the bulk of the problems are transitional issues, where you've got sidewalks that people can trip over, but there are sidewalks that are tilted the wrong way where you get like pooling of water. Some of them have this kind of a rise to it as well. That isn't part of the criteria, but the primary one we're looking at are trying to keep the sidewalks in a place where people would not be tripping over them.
When is your intent to start this? This year?
Yeah. The intent would be to have a program this year that would probably get started most likely in the latter part of summer. We'd want to give people advance notice, probably at least 45 or 60 days that we have to put this out to bid. We have to get a contractor for this. And so we're going to put together a bid package very similar to the road program. And we'll put it out for bid, and we'll judge the contractors and pick the lowest and best, just like you would with the road program. Find a starting date, work backwards from that as to the notification date. So there's going to be a drop dead date where property owners can do their own walk. They'll be given that opportunity. They should. I think they're going to find that they'll get a better price per square foot by going with the city's contractor. But then property owners at that point, if they do not get their own contractor, they get two other choices. They could work with the city and either pay directly out on an assessment, or they can have it assessed to their taxes. Those are details we really have to kind of work out too.
So they still wind up paying for it?
They still wind up paying for it.
Even though I have a friend in Berkshire who has complained about his sidewalk forever, and that's when we did the scan of the, underground, comes down this way, never connects to the other side, and it dropped his whole, and so we've never fixed it, we've never done anything with it. So would he send his request via the form you're gonna create? Or?
We've created forms.
You have created them?
When we went out and we did the sidewalk assessments, we have created a form for each property that we've gone over. But we're not gonna be doing all the properties that are marked right now. I will have a number of streets put together by the first meeting in March.
Is he able to put his in, since this Berkshire was since probably 2 years after he moved in. And
So-
that's when we had the sewers scoped and found out they don't meet each
So it sounds
other.
like there's a structural problem with the streets and the sewers, in which case they should appeal to the mayor, who can speak with the
Well, we did
building
it
department, and they can.
years after years, and nothing was ever done.
So that's gonna be well, this is gonna be a complicated thing. We know this is gonna be very tough. But knowing that, something that happened a decade ago, I can't really go back and say, well, that flood caused your sidewalk to become depressed. And that's where we're gonna have things that are gonna be on a case-by-case basis, but I can tell you right now, I've already had a few calls about this, and we're gonna get everything under the sun to say they want the city to pay for it. Just to be clear, how much should we put in the coffers for support of this?
Well, we really haven't put anything in.
Well, we're estimating, I
Right,
think,
we're-
350,000,
Yeah,
I think.
300, yes, is what
I
we're
mean,
talking
it's a
about.
lot of money, but I have a picture up in my office, and I'll show it to you at some point, of a lady that was walking down the sidewalk that came to me crying, and her face was bloodied and her knees were bloody, and said, I can't even walk down our sidewalks. What's the point of this? And that's what I'm gonna show people, because the sidewalk is in front of your home, it's your responsibility. And that's the one thing we're gonna have to talk about. It's gonna be a tough conversation with a lot of people. Just to be clear, in front of my house, I have some that I have to replace. And I'm kinda glad that it's there, because I can say, I'm a victim of this too, that I have to do it as well. But we can't talk about a tree that was planted 50 years ago. We can't talk about a flood that happened 12 years ago. I don't know about that stuff. It's hard for us to say what happened then and there. There are gonna be instances on a case-by-case basis that we're gonna talk to people, and we're gonna be very reasonable. You guys are gonna have it in front of you as well for the seniors, which I kinda indicated when we started talking about this. If they're under the certain income level, we're gonna cover those, because I think that's the right thing to do, unless you guys tell me otherwise. That's gonna be one piece of it. The whole point of this legislation too, so you're aware, the 4-inch thing, I was driving down, it's probably about 2 or 3 years ago, and I saw a driveway putting in, and just by happenstance, I called the building commissioner and said, hey, see if they got a permit, because I didn't remember seeing one. Well, lo and behold, they didn't get one. Contractor was pouring 2 inches of concrete, that's not standard, it's 4 inches always. That concrete would have held up for maybe 5 years, Joe, maybe? 5 years down the road, cracks down
Not long
enough, company's gone. That's the point we're trying to make with the standards of this. There's a reason why you put 4 inches. This is a standard that's gonna work for the future. But we're gonna have a lot of struggles with this, and I know that. But Jan, you yourself are kind of what got me to get this moving forward, because the sidewalks are horrible, and you know it. I mean, you run down them all the time. You run down Crow. I mean, we
That's
are
when I wind
overdue.
up in the street.
Now,
Yeah.
but I'll put this out there. I mean, if you guys think the city should pay for it, we're gonna be
Well, one
under
of
the
the
gun.
worst ones, believe it or not, and it's sad to say, John passed away. One around the corner from me, the house, the huge house. His family had it done. I mean, there was no real sidewalk there. But this one, who should I have him contact? The city?
Well, I mean, I'm telling you what the response is gonna be. I can't speak to 10 years ago what happened. I
No,
don't know
but-
that
I
that's
guess
Should he-
that's why it never got resolved, because there probably wasn't evidence to show the cause for the
Right.
sinkage.
And look, we'll look into it. Have them
No,
call
but who should he apply
The
for?
building
Because he's
department.
gonna see us.
the building department, just call the building
Okay.
department, and he could say, hey, I
I'm
think
just
there was
gonna
an
tell him
issue.
to
Yeah.
apply to the building.
We're gonna have that. It's gonna happen. I know that.
I want to throw one thing out there. This has been going off and on for quite some time. You should have heard the guy that I had to call the mayor and the law director about what his response was. Okay? He wasn't hostile, but he was dead center on how he was speaking with me. And I mean, he didn't hold it against me or anything else. But his end of theory is, the hell with it. If it's my responsibility, I'm going to tear it all out and plant grass. Okay? Which is also not permitted. If you take and make too many exceptions, and you have people that you've already sent letters to that have done it themselves, and now you're gonna take it on as the city to do them all, the rest of them, you're gonna get even more pushback and more problems, I think, in the long run. Gonna be more people coming at you because, at least you have the defense now and saying, well, we've had this problem for some time, and I can name you maybe 6 neighborhoods where people did it themselves because they know there was a problem versus, well, TS on them. They took care of it, but now we're gonna handle it.
Well, it sounds like there's a structural problem underneath, that even if they did have it, even if they did replace their sidewalk today, it might continue happening, so that's
Well,
the
that's
thing.
the problem with
Yeah.
this one. The sidewalk will probably,
Yeah, so they just
disappear
need to,
again.
to speak with someone in the
So-
building
it
department
was,
to look at
the
that.
road was put in.
So it's not a matter of what made it
that's-
drop, it's a matter of what can keep it up in the future.
Can't
So that's
remember.
one specific
Yeah, one
resident,
specific.
obviously.
Well, this one, it was put under the lady who used to be on city council. eons ago with Joe. That's how old this is. And my fear is because when they found out they don't really connect,
Well, I'll
it
tell
might
you,
be a bigger issue for you to address.
we're gonna get the, the trees and the tree lawn costs to happen, which a lot of these very likely are.
Yeah, I'm just
Maybe
gonna
those
have
trees
them
have to come out.
Yeah, just have
Contact
contact about the specific, not the sidewalk issue, but whatever is making the road or a sink over there.
Well, it's the
Remember,
sidewalk, 'cause
we
you
gotta remember
can't
one thing
walk.
very clearly. If you own a property, that's your property. That sidewalk's yours, that tree lawn's yours. The right of way only gives us the right to work in there if needed. That's for
Yeah.
utilities. That's
I'll
not
just have
for
the right-
repairing that stuff.
Mark,
I'm
I have
sure
a
John put
question
it somewhere in a file.
about
Because of
section
what he
B
found
and
out
C.
was
Okay.
shocking.
Section B says, the city's gonna send you a letter. Section C says the city's going to have this, do this program. So, this doesn't really mention anything about you have how much time to respond to the letter, what's due.
So
I know
that's-
you're gonna work that
that's
out,
what we're
but it
figuring
seems
out now.
ambiguous in the language, in the ordinance.
It has to be. And
It has to be?
what we're getting to here is every year everything's gonna be different. Every neighborhood's gonna be different. But the point I'm gonna make here is this too. If we put on a tax assessment, another thing we're looking into is to see if we can spread that out over several years. We're not trying to hurt people here. That's not the intention. The intention is to get people to be able to walk on the sidewalks. I'll challenge every one of you that haven't been walk down Pro. Take a walk down Pro one day.
Yeah, you wanna give,
They walk down the
I'll give you a list
street.
of the ones on Berkshire and Pro.
We have sidewalks, but people walk in the middle of the street. We're just asking. We're asking for it. Kids can't even ride their bike on the sidewalk.
Yeah,
We're
and as a
asking for
runner,
it.
you're always supposed to be looking straight ahead. I have to run with my head down because I'm trying to avoid the
It's
pits.
pretty bad.
It's-
But
I'm just surprised that residents, I understand why Mr. Gardner didn't, but I don't understand why others didn't. I don't understand why John left his like that for years.
It's expensive, yeah.
That's sad.
prices aren't going
And who
down.
do you call? to
So
do
we're
it?
gonna do 1, 2, 3?
Yeah.
So
let's-
I want to make sure I answer your question though. The legal mechanism of the ordinance, B says, yes, we give the property owner notice. C says we can go out and abate it after we go out to bid. And the city has the ability to do that and place that cost on the tax duplicate. There's not necessarily a waiting time or a
So
prerequisite.
it's not like a grass nuisance, a weed nuisance type
We,
thing.
we
You
could
have
go out
spec-
with this
specific-
legislation and abate it immediately and pass that cost on the property owner. I think what Mr. Roddick's saying and what the mayor is saying is we're planning on giving the residents an opportunity to either have it corrected themselves or even use the city's contractor, which, hopefully would have better pricing as a courtesy to the residents. But from a legal mechanism through the statute, we could just go out and do it.
Okay.
And, I think big picture, the most important thing to keep in mind is this is already part of the criminal code and we can cite these property owners and we could have cited them for decades under our code if we had so chosen. So there's already the ability to do that. This is providing options to work with residents in the favor of residents to get it corrected in a more, cordial manner, so to speak.
So just to make it very clear, the plan or what we're talking about is you're gonna get letter after letter after letter. We're gonna hit this as many times so we let you know the intentions. I think the date we were given was July 31st to say you have up until that time to correct this yourself if you'd like. If you wanna do it yourself, hire a contractor, that's fine. Or we're gonna come and do it ourselves. So we'll have a contractor, it'll likely be cheaper, like he said. I'm sorry, not cheaper, cost effective.
Thank you.
And then we can go about it that way. But it's giving all the options. We're not forcing our hand. We're just saying
Yeah.
it
Sounds
needs to be
good.
corrected. It really does.
Yeah. All right. Let's do 1, 2, 3 on this so they can continue working on this project. Any further questions on that? All right.
you.
Next to 15 is the employee benefits.
I can answer this pretty simply. Essentially, you guys may remember we had the 60 hours comp time for that could be earned for department heads or non-exempt? Exempt. Exempt, I'm sorry. Came to my attention that if they have perfect attendance, they don't get the 4 hours or 4 hours bonus time for not taking time off sick or whatever. I think it's a no-brainer. I mean, if you have perfect attendance, every other employee in the city gets it. I think we failed by not having this in there. I failed by not recognizing it. And I think it's a nice thing for our exempt employees to get when they have good attendance. I mean, we're just rewarding them for what everyone else gets. So I'm asking you to support that. Is that good enough?
Yeah, it just exempts that sick leave bonus from the 60-hour cap.
Fantastic. Let's go 1, 2, 3 on this. It's a little bit of an internal matter, so. Thank you. Next is 16. Dave, can you second this for us? Thank you. 16 is the cleaning up the codified ordinances. Mark?
Yeah, so you see this pretty much every year. It's just to have the local code conform with the changes to the state law made by the General Assembly over the past year.
He just sits with the book and goes through all the numbers.
Our codifier does.
Take hours, doesn't it?
That is one of the benefits of using the codifier. They provide this for all the communities.
They bring their own whiteout.
Yep.
Yes. All right, so this is just housekeeping. Let's do 1, 2, 3 on this, please, and thank you. All right, next we have the Parks and Rec multi-purpose field, and we can do the next one too, the pool deck.
Or can I go back to back?
Whatever you want, Jason. However it works for you.
Awesome. I would love to go back to back with that. So this was part of our pre-planned capital that JV and I worked on in 2022 to build out for a couple years. The multi-purpose fields will be Longwood North, which many of you call the soccer fields. They are multi-purpose fields, just for clarity. And last night at PRC, they unanimously voted to support this project moving forward, as well as the pool deck project moving forward. So they've helped us out with that, supplied their support. For the multi-purpose fields, this will be the second phase. Last year, you guys supported the first phase, which was building them in Longwood South, right behind the tree wall, right before the softball field, or the softball, baseball fields. So this would put $90,000 into that renovation for us. And that would take place most likely August or September of this year is what we're aiming for, because we want to do a little bit more field maintenance on the ones we did last year. And then the pool deck, we have a 24-year-old pool deck and it desperately needs replaced. And we've had a couple people come out and look at it, give us some thoughts. It can't really be repaired because there's too many hollow spots underneath the tile itself. So we need to scrape out everything that's there and put in a new pool deck surface. We've kind of investigated a couple options as we write up our bid request. We'll put in a little bit of specific information about some products we're looking for, but we would like to move forward with that project as well, with the hopes that if the bid process goes successfully, we might be able to put that in during the 2-week shutdown that we do for the HVAC system. So we would need 1, 2, 3 on that to get it to move forward as quickly as possible.
And the cost on 17, that was 90,000.
90,000.
And the other one was 150 for the pool deck.
Yep. And
Those
they
are
were,
estimates.
they were
Yeah,
all
estimates,
part of
right.
a 2-year capital plan.
You looked at pickleball?
On the pool deck?
No,
Absolutely.
Up at the rec center, pickleball.
I mean, we can't put
That's
that in the
the
pool
new
deck
one.
because there might be
Yeah.
someone who can't swim.
And then the other thing is.
So we wouldn't
believe
want
it
them
or
to
not,
fall in.
Kickball's become hot.
We have tried running kickball 3 times.
I'm talking adults.
Yeah, we tried 3
I'm
times.
surprised.
So we're actually not gonna go with the company that had been advertising it for us, and we're gonna try doing it this summer on our own
It'll
and just
probably take
advertising it
them,
out to our community.
Because they play down in South Carolina, they play on the playground at a school
Oh,
field.
sweet. Yeah,
Our
that's
kids
awesome.
play it.
You guys want to
Whack
do
out, too. When they
3 on
play,
both
it's
of these?
whack.
Please.
I second it, yes. Get them going.
Yeah, get them going. We still have to get the project built. Any further questions on those projects? Okay, excellent. That is all for the agenda. Now we had another thing we were going to talk about today is the moratorium we have on car washes, mattress stores, and tire shops. Mark,
I thought we were gonna have some,
Mark's going to talk about it, and then.
yeah, but I thought we were gonna have a public hearing to hear what the people think.
You might want to hear what he has to say first.
You might want to hear what he has to say first, and also one would assume that the public is already quite behind this. So public hearing might not be the way to go, but let's hear what
Well, the
Mark.
public hearing
I
might
wanted-
talk about those issues, but also what about? You know, they
But I
have other
wanted to
things
know
that
what
they're
we
a
can
little
do
tired of.
legally as a city first. You know, it's,
I like a moratorium on semi-trucks. There were 10 of them today when I went from
once
my
again,
house.
we need to know what we can do legally.
Yeah.
So let's hear from the lawyer and the building director to see what we can do legally first.
Yeah, so, you know, with zoning issues, you start off with a strong presumption of constitutionality whenever you have a zoning enactment pursuant to your charters under the powers under the revised code, the charter, Ohio Constitution. Now, when you get into the weeds, and it's a fairly complex legal analysis, but the long and short of it is it's fact dependent. And in this specific situation, when you're looking at three specific types of uses, my ultimate recommendation would be to have a study performed or have a planner come in and provide some recommendations to you based on the facts and circumstances. Now, to get there, they're gonna have to come, look at the municipality, study those specific types of businesses, not only in the city's jurisdictional limits itself, but also look at the actual markets. And that can extend beyond the municipal boundaries, obviously. So that's ultimately my recommendation. The mayor and I had discussed that, and I actually reached out to a firm that provides those type of services, and I had an informal meeting with them this past week, and he provided some, I guess, a little bit of input. It's something they specialize in. They've done it for Streetsboro concerning hotel motels, and they've done it for a number of other municipalities around. So that would be an option. The mayor can decide to do that. He wanted you guys to get looped in on that process as well. So that would be the next step from my recommendation to move forward with that type of study.
And when they looked at it, they would look at, because a lot of the complaints are from basically 91 to Northfield. There's 3 Dunkin' Donuts. I gave up counting pizza places.
Yes.
I gave up counting, so would it expand all the way to Northfield at least? Because they just put that other one in by Giant Eagle, and you're like,
Right.
what?
So one of the first steps they do is they identify the appropriate market, and I can't tell you what that market
Okay.
is. That's for them. That's one of the things that they need to do. My guess is that would probably be included, and obviously the JED adds a little bit of a special wrinkle here because the city is involved with that. But they look at they make a determination what the market is, and then make an assessment from there. You can purchase data actually from like the Walmarts of the world to see what's Walmart's tire sales and how does that impact the other stores in the market. And they go out and meet with businesses and do the whole full analysis really. And then ultimately, if you guys want, they can produce a report and you can review the report.
What is the cost factor, or what is the lowball cost factor of this?
Approximately, and I don't have, I want to make clear, I don't have a proposal in hand, but the rough estimate is approximately 5,000 per use. So
So
talking
I-
15,000
Yeah.
per study.
about 15,000 for these 3, correct?
Okay.
And I will tell you guys that there are a couple of the business owners in our community that are very interested in what we're doing with this. I want to know where it stands, so I said, we're working on it. Obviously, they prefer that it gets better, but
Yeah, because there's a big difference, which has happened over the years, that, those property owners did an assessment to
Right.
see would their product sell here. And now it's like, whoa, am I having problems? Are you gonna add more? I can see their concern, because I remember when eons ago, Dad came in for Chick-fil-A, and are you sure? Yeah, at that time, there wasn't really any competition other than the Colonel moved in. Well, even the Colonel moved in after him. So the owners themselves do studies, because the one that always amazed me was Tractor Supply. And people go, why did we get one of those? And I go, they went out and they did a study to see and the place went booming. But everybody else thought, why?
which
It
is
is,
awesome.
it is booming, believe me, I can tell you that.
So I guess the question that I have for all of you is, do we look at a study now to determine next steps? Because at that point, then I think if we have data, then we would have a public hearing to see what the public thinks. But I guess it's up to you guys. I'm wanting your input as to whether or not we should get a study.
I definitely want data on this. I don't want to do it by feelings or public
Right.
perception.
Right.
I want to know, and data also would give us more of a legal leg to stand on if we did do something to the ordinances that
Right.
says it's conditional use, you can't put this kind of business here, and they can, in a hearing, we could say, well, we have this data that says that it doesn't support it, and that's why we made this ordinance.
Well, they can also look at, like we did, I always bring this up, but what we did with the laws for adult store,
Mhm.
yeah, we allow it, but you're never gonna build it because of how we restricted it.
Mhm.
So they went to Northfield and nobody's ever there. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, they must be getting somebody there
Somebody knows.
because
I
they're
haven't
still
seen-
open.
They must do internet
Nice cars
sales.
there.
So I think that should be our next step,
I
instead
agree.
of, I don't wanna go
think we should
straight.
go
Do
for
we
it.
need to make a motion?
No, so like I said, the mayor can just, it's under the bidding threshold, the funds are available, the mayor just wanted to communicate with you guys and get your input before we went forward with it.
I'm against the moratorium in the
Yeah,
first
he's
place,
against the banning
so I don't
of
think
it.
we should do anything.
When does our moratorium expire?
I think the end of April.
Okay.
Now, this specific company, they're out of Columbus area. They, again, rough estimate, if we did authorize them fairly quickly, it's about a 6 to 8 week anticipated turnaround. That could obviously change once they get into it, but that would sort of overlap with the moratorium period, so.
Do we have anything pending now? Is there any more of these people businesses that are on the moratorium trying to get in?
No, we haven't had any
No.
applications for that.
Yeah, they're prohibited from applying, so you probably wouldn't, but it sounds like there hasn't been any communication or interest.
No, not even any interest.
Yeah, once we get some data, we can talk to the public. Once again, I think the public would say like, yeah, that sounds crazy, let's not have any more of these businesses, so.
And
I'm
part
not
of what,
sure.
part of the service they can provide is to make some recommendations on potential code
Yes.
changes. And so then, once you get to your point, once you
Mhm.
get that, then you have maybe something more to talk to the public about.
You can answer more questions also,
Yeah,
just like you said, when we have the data in our hands.
right. All right, any further questions on that? All right, so you'll just let us know as things progress. All right, anything else on this? We have,
Who's seconding the adjournment?
Vinnie?
Yes? I can take that, thank you.
I got one quick thing if I can.
Go for it, we have time.
So, as you are all aware, we are going through the process with the service building. They had an estimator go out and kind of give us some rough numbers that came in ridiculously high. I'm gonna leave it at that for right now, so we are looking at what we can do and figuring out what we think is the best fit, but we're kind of in a little stall here, but we're gonna get right back into it next week with Bialowski and have conversations to figure out what we're gonna do moving forward, because the number is outrageous. I'm sure you're seeing some of the numbers per square foot for new construction are pretty high. So, maybe we don't get everything we want, or maybe we do it in a couple phases. But no matter what we've discussed with Director Wilson is, we really, really need to have something for his team. The biggest thing, and I asked him what's the biggest goal, and I'll let him answer that question.
I think to have everyone under one roof and have unity in the department. And the second goal is to get the extremely expensive equipment that we purchase under a roof too. So we want to accomplish those two things. So I think we'll find a way.
So that all leads to efficiency, which we're lacking right now, and it's not for anyone's fault. It's just we kind of live with what we have to this point. We even discussed, some of the current buildings that we have. Why don't we just fix those? I'm going. They're not really worth fixing.
Does that number include the extra space that we have in that building? Or is it just service?
This is just
Just service?
The extra space is not even on the table anymore. That's
Okay.
gone. We wiped that out quite some time ago. I apologize for not letting you guys know that, but every day we talk about this, and every day I'm working on this, and it's just been rolling. But we may not get everything we want, or maybe we do more down the road. But at least we get something to put, as Dan put, the very expensive equipment under one roof. Now, it may not be everything, but like we talked about, the dump trucks are very expensive. Those may be something you want to keep under the roof. The pickup trucks are always moving, so we have some other options we can work with there. But we also are talking about Twinsburg Road, keeping that as a cold storage, which was the plan all along, because there's a lot of equipment we don't use in the winter that we can stick in there, and it's not gonna hurt anything, it's good to have it under a roof. But that building is good to have something under a roof. To fix it, not so much. So, more to come on that very soon. We're doing everything we can to move this thing forward. I'd love to see progress on that site and something happening very soon. I know I'm shooting for the moon here, Mr. Gelati, but we're gonna get there.
Are the improvements for that section gonna include what's needed for that building? You know,
I'm sorry,
at
say that
the
again?
intersection?
Oh, the intersection.
Yeah, because
yes.
now we have the buses coming through. You're gonna have bigger trucks coming that way all the time. Are we ever gonna, we have I've never got this. We have left turn lanes, but we don't have left turn signals off of Highland onto Valley View. I've never understood that. But are we going to, only because I used to drive it every week at 3 a.m. to go to work. And the houses that are right there, we're gonna have to take some of their property. Are
One
they
of the
still gonna
houses,
be
yeah.
safe?
Mhm.
Because they're pretty close to the road now.
And safety won't be an issue.
Okay. So this building, you'll look at what's coming in and out to make sure that's accommodated too.
We have
Yeah,
this.
the drive access will be accommodated, and the
Okay.
service building is just far enough away from the intersection. And
And the buses, we'll get a left turn light, right?
there'll be left turn lanes in all directions. With
They
an
just
arrow.
sit there and we're all like,
With arrows too, right, Joe? Okay.
With an
Excellent.
arrow.
they take forever.
All right, guys. If nothing else, I will see you out there. Thank you.
Friend of mine.
And welcome to the February 22nd, 2024 council meeting. It is 7:30 PM. Mr. Hoover, please call the roll.
Ms. Brandt.
Here.
Mr. Finley.
Here.
Ms. Tully.
Here.
Mr. Ventura.
Here.
I'll ask Mr. O'Brien to lead us in the invocation and the pledge.
Your Honor, City Council members and department heads, as we gather here this evening, let us take a moment to reflect on the responsibilities entrusted to us by the citizens of our great city. May we approach our deliberations with open minds, respectful discourse, and a commitment to serving the common good. Let us remember that we are not here as individuals with personal agendas, but as stewards of the public trust, tasked with making decisions that will shape the future of our community. In this diverse and vibrant city, let us embrace the richness of our differences and work together to create a more inclusive and equitable society. Let us strive to build bridges of understanding and cooperation, transcending any divisions that may seek to divide us. May our decisions be guided by compassion, wisdom, and a steadfast dedication to justice for all residents, ensuring that every voice is heard and every perspective is valued. As we embark on this important work, may we be guided by the spirit of unity and collaboration, recognizing that by coming together, we can achieve far more than we ever could alone. Amen. Amen. Now please face the flag and join me in our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Chaplain O'Brien. We appreciate you.
Your Honor.
Okay, next on our agenda is the approval of minutes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from the Thursday, January 25th, 2024 public hearing.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I'd also like to make a motion to approve the minutes from the Thursday, February 8th, 2024 regular council meeting.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain.
Okay, public comments. We have none. Correspondence from the clerk.
None, sir.
All right, pending new legislation, starting with ordinance number 8.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to offer ordinance number 8, 2024 by its second reading by title only, please.
An ordinance authorizing a tax exemption for real property owned by DDR HD&C LLC in the city's community reinvestment area and determining the time period for said exemption.
Ordinance number 13.
Mayor, I offer ordinance 13, 2024 for its first reading by title only.
An emergency ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a one-year contract with Ohio Plan Risk Management, Inc. for certain insurance coverage for the city of Macedonia beginning April 1st, 2024.
So essentially, this is the insurance for the city. We're looking into this. There's some details that we're going to work out, and there'll be more to come on it in the near future meetings. Ordinance number 14.
I move to offer ordinance number 14, 2024 for all three readings by title only.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
An ordinance creating Chapter 903 of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Macedonia relative to sidewalks.
Director Goodetti.
So a high-level overview here, it creates a permitting process for modifications or construction or reconstruction of any sidewalks within the municipality. And it also creates a sidewalk repair program, which is an alternate method, or it creates an alternate method for the city to handle nuisance conditions that exist on sidewalks.
Commissioner Roddick, anything you want to add?
I have nothing to add to that, Mayor.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, what is your pleasure?
I move to adopt ordinance number 14, 2024 and post the same according to law.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Ordinance 14 carries. Ordinance number 15.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to offer ordinance number 15, 2024 for its first, second, and third reading by title only, please.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
An ordinance amending Section 161.01A of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Macedonia relative to certain employee benefits.
Essentially, this is just the, for exempt employees, when you have perfect attendance, every other employee that works for the city gets a 4-hour, I guess it would be called, for perfect attendance bonus for 4 hours off. so per quarter. So obviously, we want to encourage folks to come to work, and I felt that our department heads work very, very hard, and they should get that benefit as well, and that's why it's in front of you today. Any further discussion? Hearing none, what is your pleasure?
Mr. Mayor, I ask that we adopt and pass according to law ordinance number 15, 2024, please.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ordinance 15 carries. Ordinance number 16.
Mayor, I offer ordinance 16, 2024 for its first, second, and third reading by title only.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
An ordinance approving the editing and inclusion and amendment of certain ordinances as part of the various component codes of the codified ordinances of Macedonia.
Director Goodetti.
So over the course of 2023, the Ohio legislature made certain changes to laws of a general nature, which are in the revised code, and this legislation simply updates the city's code to match what the legislature did, the state legislature did.
Housekeeping.
Yes, sir.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, what is your pleasure?
Mayor, I offer ordinance 16, 2024, move to adopt and post the same according to law.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ordinance 16 carries. Resolution number 17.
Mr. Mayor, I ask that we read resolution number 17, 2024, for its first, second, and third reading.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Resolution authorizing the Director of Parks and Recreation to prepare plans, bids, and specifications, and further authorizing the mayor to advertise for bids for the Longwood Park Multipurpose Field Expansion Project.
Director Chaddick.
Thank you, Mayor. This will be kind of step 2 from what we did last year, adding 2 multipurpose fields to Longwood South, right next to the existing baseball fields. This will give us a chance to go to Longwood North and redo the soccer field area into some multi-purpose fields, give us a chance to really fix a lot of the divots and stuff that are in those fields right now. What we are doing is going to bid for this project to then have the work completed late summer, early fall season. And this was part of our pre-approved capital program that we worked on back in 2022 and unanimously approved by PRC last night as well.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, what is your pleasure?
Before we offer, at some point, can we take a look at bathrooms? We only have porta potties over there.
Bathrooms on that
It
side.
would be about time, or not this time, but in the plans for the future, to put regular bathrooms in like we have on the south side.
We have been researching that, and more so with that lack of a water source. With the added cost to water source, we've looked at some other options, and we're still probably looking in the $100,000 realm. But I'll be happy to bring you a quote, and we can talk about putting that in the capital plan.
Thank you. I ask that we pass and post according to law resolution number 17, 2024, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 17 carries. Resolution number 18.
I offer resolution number 18, 2024 for its first, second, and third reading by title only.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Resolution authorizing the Director of Parks and Recreation to prepare plans, bids, and specifications, and further authorizing the mayor to advertise for bids for the pool deck replacement project.
Director Chaddick.
Thank you, Mayor. This also was approved last night for us to move forward with PRC, and this was part of our pre-planned capital that Director Barris helped us put together back in 2022 and 2023 as part of a 2-phase to implement money for the pool deck replacement. 24-year-old pool deck, and unfortunately it's beyond repairs because of some hollow spots within it, so we need to strip this deck out and add in a new one. We would like to go to bid on this immediately with the hopes that we can get some alignment between this project and our HVAC system replacement that we look forward to taking place at the end of springtime, and try to mirror this together during our closure that we'll have.
Thank you. Any further discussion? What is your pleasure?
I move that we pass resolution 18, 2024 and post the same according to law.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 18 carries. Any other motions or legislative actions? I'll move right into the mayor's report. It's going to be very brief today, but I want to remind everyone the project that's going on off of Route 82 where you have the, I'm having a brain fart here.
Sushi place and
No, not that
that
one.
one. The bank.
I don't know what project you're talking about now.
the jet.
Well, basically this. I'll put it simply. Sephora, Nordstrom Rack are coming in next to Burlington. Sorry, I was
Should have
having.
said where Kmart was, I would have been all.
Yeah, everyone would know that. So I still see the questions daily. It's Sephora and Nordstrom Rack. That's what's going in there, that's what they're building, that's what's happening. Across the street from Speedway is UT. They're a new business, great thing, check it out, really kind of cool. The one over in Northfield Center, I believe that's Northfield Center, right? Chase Bank? Or is that Macedonia?
Northfield Center.
Northfield Center, but it's still part of our JED. That's a Chase Bank. So I just want to make sure everyone knew what those were. Get those questions all the time still, even from friends of mine that I talk to all the time and go, oh my God, I told you this guy, so long ago. But that's what's going on with those.
And the Nordstrom and Sephora have already sent emails and putting out, if you want to work here, get in touch.
That's really the end of my report. So don't drive distracted, put the phones down, drive the car. Committee reports.
We had our February Parks and Rec Commission meeting last night. We welcomed new member Dr. Kelly Joyce. We went over the planned capital budget, the plans for the planned capital budget, and voted on the 2 items that Director Chaddock brought to council today. Everyone is on board with all the changes, and we got a rundown of what they plan on doing. To replace the pool deck, some of the plans that they hope to get when they make the multi-purpose fields. We discussed more about the idea of getting plans together to build a gym onto the rec center, and I know Director Chaddock is working on getting plans for plans at this point. And our next meeting is the 3rd Wednesday in March. That will be the 20th at 6 o'clock upstairs at the rec center, and that's the end of my report.
Thank you. Any other committee reports? Hearing none, we'll move into department reports, starting with Director Wilson.
Thank you, Mayor. We are working on, almost finished assembling 2 emergency response trailers. We had one prepared before the major accident we had recently, but now it's really caused us to take a deep look into our readiness, and so we have put together 2 trailers that are equipped with absolutely everything. We've spent a little money, and we have Type 3s and everything you could ever imagine on there that you will need that will be available, so that we could go 2 different directions, or if we, God forbid, had 2 accidents happen at the same time. So we've been working diligently on that. Steve walked me around one last night. Working on some lights and some general remodel stuff in the fire department, doing some really light remodel stuff in the basement, trying to keep up with litter on 271 ramps. That's a constant battle this time of year. Everything just looks drab, and you really see the litter out there. You know how it is. The mechanics are trying to get through all the mowers right now because that's coming right around the corner. And snow and ice has been sprinkled in here and there, as you know. As always, give the guys space, respect the plow truck drivers. That's all I have. Thanks.
Knock on wood. Dr. Gelati.
Yes, as of today, the advertising period for bids has begun for our annual road program. If all goes well, we will have a contractor recommendation for council next month. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Chaddock.
Thank you, Mayor. We just have a host of maintenance stuff going on. It seems every week something else breaks in the pool, and we work on correcting it. This last 2-week period, it was our lap pool heater. So there was some minor tweaks done. In the end, it really turned out to be a couple loose wires that were tripping it, because these days we have a lot of safety features on all of this technology. And unfortunately, it tripped out on us several times. So at one point, Jan, you'd love this. We had a wonderful 75-degree pool. I know you would love that. So anyway, we got that corrected. Jim Clark, our aquatic supervisor, does a great job of spotting these issues and helping us correct those as we go. So I'm very thankful to have him on board. We have all of our spring program is opened up right now, so you can register for anything. The next activity guide hosting summer programs will come out in the month of March, so in a couple of weeks here. And then lastly, we are working with Wadsworth Solutions, the company selected for our HVAC install, on setting up a 2-week shutdown window. We're looking for this to be sometime near the end of May going into Summerfest time. So I'll have more details on that hopefully within the next council meeting. Thank you.
Thanks. Director Veras.
Yeah, ice baths are a big thing these days.
They are. We're trying to produce
Go
recovery
from there
space.
to,
Yeah.
okay.
The Swedish way.
The Swedish way. So, worked with our communications director, sat down with Vegas and Lisa. Kelsey was busy doing payroll to kind of expand on the knowledge and information we put out for the Macedonia resident refund. I think it's posted now on Facebook with a link to our finance page and then a Word converted to PDF with the explanation of how you are eligible to apply for a refund. So the deadline is July 15th, unless you have an extended reader return. End of my report.
Thank you. Director Collins.
Thanks, Mayor. 26 help desk tickets since the last meeting. Major projects include document import management for the mayor's court, as well as a technology upgrade down in the community room, which is complete. So you'll be happy to see that, Mayor. I just want to take an opportunity to wish my better half a happy birthday. So happy birthday, Amanda. Thank you. End of report.
Happy birthday.
Yay,
Happy birthday.
Amanda. She's watching that.
Commissioner Rodick.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to thank council for adopting Ordinance 14, 2024, creating that Chapter 903 for sidewalks. It's something that's been needed for a long time. And obviously the intent and the sole intent of that chapter is to promote pedestrian safety. And that chapter is certainly going to help do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. With the help of Christian Costello in our police department, HR has been able to create all new fillable forms for our incident reporting. And those are going on to our new iSolved program, giving everybody one place. With the help of JV, we came to an agreement with AHOLA, now have AHOLA managing or using AHOLA to do our learning management system. We were able to get a really good deal, and we now have our iHire. So all of our hiring, all of our interviewing, all of our review of resumes, everything is done within that program. And we have used the mechanic position as a pilot, and unfortunately Dan's our first victim to have to do everything in the iSolve program. So we're moving forward to become more and more paperless every day. And we'll report, Mayor.
I see the excitement on his face over there.
Give it to the new guy.
Chief Ripley.
Thank you, Mayor. He got that excitement because he has all the time on the hand. Since he came here, we don't get snow. So,
This is true.
I want to bring him back every year. I mean, it's phenomenal. So, I'd like to talk briefly about the eclipse and the planning. We are in city planning for it now. We've had meetings. The state of Ohio is suggesting that potentially we are in the path of totality, but not in the center line of totality. So they are predicting that on that day, our population will double. And I have to think globally, as in Nordonia Hills, so we're talking potentially 60,000 people. Summit County is suggesting that you stay home that day because it's going to be potentially a traffic nightmare.
Mayor? Suggestion?
So those are things we're working on. We're planning for it just in case. There's been history on this in other parts of the country. And Ohio, believe it or not, is within 1 day drive of 70% of the population of the United States. So that can be a lot of people. I'd like to thank Service Department. They have been working diligently. They are currently in my office as we speak painting. And they did a phenomenal job in our hallway, so much that the mayor came down today, liked it, and now they're gonna do upstairs. So I hear. Other than that, end of report.
Long overdue stuff, by the way. And with no snow, because you brought Columbus with you, we don't have snow anymore, so
There you
hey.
go.
Chief Yakovich.
Thank you, Mayor. So I'd like to thank Chief Ripley, first of all, for the training that the fire department has provided. This week, the dispatch staff have done CPR training and their EMD updates for their certification, but they actually got some hands-on stuff to do with their trailer that they have outside. That's a state trailer?
State Fire Academy, yep.
Okay. It's interesting, you know, we have, they would call it Mayday protocol, I guess. We call
Right.
it panic button. There's a panic button on all the portables. And Chief Ripley suggested that he wanted the dispatchers to go over and see what's going on inside that trailer. When somebody hits their panic button, they could see firsthand what's going on. And I think it made a profound impact, and I think it's good training. We're also going to be doing some cross-training with the fire department, with the patrol next month, incorporating not just their CPR, their first aid, their tourniquet training, but also cross-training actually how to do some firework, you know, hooking up hydrants, moving stuff in the truck. So that'll be interesting. So I appreciate it, Brian. That's all I have, Mayor.
I appreciate your collaboration between departments. I think it's amazing. We've always had it, but I think we're at a point now where, in terms of our safety forces, you all should be very proud of what we have, because this team is the best that I've ever seen. So thank you for what you gentlemen do.
We have a lot of support from you folks and the community. It means a lot.
Yes.
Thank you. Director Goodetti,
No report, sir.
any unfinished business? New business?
I'd just like to mention, we're a month away from the primary, for the voting for the primary for the candidates in the national program. At the same time, issue 10, which is an additional levy for the schools, will be on that same ballot. I know a lot of people don't go in to do the primary because they figured, you know, they didn't really have a lot of say in it. But we have a school levy on there, and it's additional tax. If you need to look at it, contact the school board, see if they can put some information out, or maybe we can invite them here, because I didn't realize it was coming on this one.
The school board did an excellent presentation. I think it was last night, I think it was Wednesday. So you can actually go on the school's website and see a slideshow and get some more in-depth information about it.
Yeah, my concern is most people don't know about it.
That is correct. I would assume that
Yeah.
they don't. You can vote by mail in this
Yes, that
this
started.
election, so you can go ahead and request your absentee ballot. You can download the absentee ballot request from online. You do have to fill it out and send it in. So if you want to vote absentee, get that done ASAP because it's coming up March 19th.
Yep.
Thank you. Motion to adjourn?
So moved?
Second?
All in favor?